What's up, guys? My name is Brennan. I'm joined with the one and only Trent, and this is Recall. All right, guys, we've got a lot to talk about. We skipped a week, but we are back, and we've got a lot of news to pick up on. So, Trent, go ahead and let us know what's been happening in the world of League of Legends.
Well, first off, there has been a update on rosters. We told you guys we'd keep you updated on that. So basically, earlier this week, High announced his retirement, formerly of Cloud9, now the new Golden Guardians mid laner. He announced that he was retiring from the League of Legends pro scene. He is going to be moving to a more streamer lifestyle, possibly kind of coaching.
Okay.
He was talking like he wants to be an educational streamer, something like Skara or Valkyrin.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's definitely a empty space for him in the streaming center. Like, there's definitely a way he can profit off that.
Mm-hmm.
And with him leaving, Golden Guardians looks to pick up Mickey from the Team Liquid Academy roster.
Okay.
Mickey was formerly from Korea, LCK. He was playing for Liquid to keep them out of relegations, or get them through the relegation tournament last split. And he's been on the academy team since then.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this move
Mm-hmm.
from the Golden Guardians. Not that it's necessarily bad for the roster. I think it may improve the team, if not keep them on the same ground. But it completely goes against everything this team has said they were going to be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they should have admitted that they were too late to the game and they picked up a bad roster because all the good rosters were taken. I'm not saying that's what they should have said, but they did claim that they were looking to make an all NA roster with young NA talent and using High as the thing to teach them all to play and like teach them to be a team.
Yeah.
So the fact that now one split in and they're going back on their word and they're getting a Korean mid laner, just it doesn't shout good things for me. And I'm not thinking it's going to be some situation like some of the previous LCS teams that just aren't in it like for any good reasons. I don't think that will be the case because it's still the Golden State Warriors that owns this team.
Yeah.
But it does kind of shout inexperience and they're fumbling to save like an already bad season.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's definitely just reminiscent of when all the all the imports started coming over in the first place because we just weren't enough. So
yeah, no, it's super sad to see. If it were to happen to anyone, it makes sense that it happens to High. This seems like the most logical point of the end of his career. It didn't seem like he necessarily was the shot caller extraordinaire that he's always been known as.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that his shot calling got worse. It seems like other teams have shot callers that are catching up to him. Because that, like, at the point that High came in and he was so renowned is because he was like having the first coach, really. And he was also in game. But now teams are getting better and better coaching staff, better and better analysts. It's not so much an issue that players aren't getting coached. So High isn't as much of a commodity. So this is like the most logical point for him to retire. It's just the fact that Golden Guardians seem to be going about this in a very disingenuous way. And that's what has me concerned. So I would maybe expect them to move up one spot in the rankings, maybe an 8th place finish, maybe a 7th, but I still don't think they'll be anywhere close to playoffs next split. I don't think Mickey is that strong of a player. I don't think he has enough to carry it. And that's not even counting possible communication issues that can come from literally 4 young NA, basically rookies, with Lorlo and Matt being the most experienced seasons players on that roster.
Yeah.
And then Mickey, who, speaks Korean. And he might have a little bit of English at this point, but I can't possibly know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't speak volumes when those are the two that are the most experienced on the team. Little scary, but who knows? Maybe they can pull something together. I won't count them out yet, but like you said,
hopefully so. Maybe it's the young players that rally together that actually will provide some new blood or something like that. Maybe they'll show some meta shifts, but I will wait to be proven otherwise. I don't expect much from this roster. I don't expect a playoffs finish by any means. If I expect them to finish above 8th place, would be a surprise to me.
Gotcha. Well, awesome. Well, that will transition us into. We finally got through LPL. They're only 2 weeks late on us,
all the way through LPL yet, but we are into the finals match finally. We're waiting that to happen Saturday night or Friday night, Saturday morning. So that's going to be the classic EDG versus RNG. Classic Clear Love going for his 6th title, and Uzi still trying to get his 1 eternal second place runner up, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, both the teams that were looking to maybe challenge that spot, Invictus Gaming and Rogue Warriors, got knocked out in the semifinals. So they are now playing each other, or they've already played each other as of just today. And the result was heavily in favor of Rogue Warriors, 3-1 against Invictus Gaming, which is super shocking because Invictus Gaming was the LPL team that went 18-1 in the regular season. They were the team with Jackie Love, who was the Chinese AD carry that had other teams trying to prove that he was not 18 years old, that he was not legal to play. That's how good this guy was. And they also had the top laner, the Shy, and that's probably a huge part of why they lost, both those players, because Jackie Love, with his being a rookie, he made some very uncharacteristic mistakes for him that he didn't make over the split, and won't have to chop that up to rookie nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, the Shy was out with a hand injury.
Oh.
And that they had to play their replacement top laner, Duke, who was formerly of SKT, but he just wasn't really up to snuff compared to everyone else. But it was a combination of everything. It's not one player's fault or another.
Yeah.
But it was definitely not the Invictus Gaming that we saw all regular split. So could be a combination of nerves, could be a combination of not having the same player. It's all up in the air, but I feel honestly like MSI and LPL finals will suffer because of the fact that the same Invictus Gaming that was dominating all regular split isn't going to show up to the finals.
Yeah.
Not saying that EDG and RNG didn't deserve to make it there, just that the way IG was performing, you would have thought they were going to make it there too, and they would have put up a really good fight against those teams.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, that is crazy. And it always makes me laugh about them trying to prove that he was not of age. It reminds me back when I played baseball, like when I was a real small kid. Do you remember Zach Jones?
I do remember that guy. I think
dude was huge. We were all like 10 years old, and dude was already like 6 foot. People legit like would try in a little league, we're trying to prove him that he was like 16 when we were 10. So
all I remember is from that scene in the Benchwarmers, which is kind of similar to your situation. Basically. It's like this 24-year-old guy who is like written on a crown, I am 13, and has $20 in it.
Literally what they thought he was. It was fun. Yeah, definitely.
I hope I expect to see a lot of things, and I really hope this Invictus Gaming team stays together because it was such a top tier team, and they by no means should be like, oh, we didn't make playoffs, we need to all break apart. And it's so sad. You always see that happen in League and in any other esport. Like if a team falls just short, it doesn't seem like they try again. Sometimes it seems like they'll just break apart. I hope that we get to see the same incarnation of Invictus Gaming next split because they can very easily challenge for the LPL title, and I think they could very easily challenge for Worlds if they continue at the rate they are. They were honestly the only team that I had as someone that could beat Kingzone. And now that they're gone, I don't think Kingzone has a rival necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the sad things about esports that I've always hated is it's very rare that teams stay together through those losses. I think, like in CSGO, there's been one team that has stayed together for the past 3 or 4 years. They've had the same exact roster for 3 or 4 years. And sometimes they do look really bad, sometimes they be really good, but they stay together. And it's like, when they were good, they were just insane.
It's not necessarily that esports, I think, have more turnover rate than other sports by player. It's the fact that esports rosters are naturally so much smaller than regular sports rosters. I mean, football, you look at it, obviously there'd be more because there's way more players, but even basketball, where it's still 5 players on the state or on the court at a time, there's so many more subs expected. You see as much turnover, but it's not at the same percentage, I guess I'd say.
Yeah,
for sure. It's harder to get attached to a team. I can't necessarily blame the players, but I do hope we get to see this version of Invictus Gaming in next split in LPL because they are a very exciting team to watch. They're very fun. They very, very much exemplify the LPL strategy of just play hard, like don't play easy game, don't try and like play safe. But at the same time, they're the only team I've seen do it in the LPL that plays this very aggressive style, but also percentage-wise is always on top.
Yeah.
Like they were 18-1, but they still had a very low average game time. They were incredibly, incredibly dominant all season. I really hope we get to see them again.
For sure. And unfortunately, won't see them at Rift Rivals. I think you were mentioning earlier.
Nope, no Rift Rivals either. Only the top 3 teams place, and since Rogue Warriors beat them, it'll be EDG, RNG, and Rogue Warriors for sure at the Asian Rift Rivals, which will be LCK, LPL, and I believe it'll be the Vietnamese League.
Oh, really?
But I'm not entirely sure on that.
Interesting.
I know the Vietnamese League was just added. The LMS, excuse me. So I'm pretty sure it's the Vietnamese League, but if not, I will correctly look up that region soon to make up for that. Awesome. But LMS, LPL, LCK all playing each other at Rift Rivals. And that brings me up to my next point, which will be the Rift Rivals for EU and NA. Mm-hmm. Those details were just announced. It is going to match the Rift Rivals for the Asia region, but it's going to be July 5th through the 7th, which will be a Thursday through a Saturday. I'm assuming Riot may also hold something on Sunday. It's really weird to me that they're only holding it from Thursday to Saturday. I'm not going to say it's necessarily a typo, but maybe there'll be some sort of extra event or surprise event or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But we are going to get to see Fnatic, G2, and Splice representing Europe, and we're going to see Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, and Echo Fox representing NA. Ooh. So for EU, there's nothing really shocking. I mean, those have always been kind of top-tier teams in that region. But for NA, it's really exciting. We're going to get to see these 3 new teams represent this region. One of them is entirely new. One of them is within 2 or 3 years old and has never made it into playoffs. And the other team has kind of been old guard, but always the redheaded stepchild of the old guard.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun seeing these EU classics going against basically all these NA kind of newcomers. They're going to play off in Rift Rivals. It's going to be in NA this year. It's going to be, like I said, July 5th through 8th. And it's going to be a different format. It's not going to be just a round robin and then a bracket. Mm-hmm. It's going to be best of 1 round robins. And then after that, it's going to be teams get to come out and play each other. So whoever has the most wins in the round robin format gets to counterpick the EU team or gets to counterpick the other team. So let's say, for example, EU wins the round robin tally. NA will pick their team that gets to come out and play, and EU gets to counterpick that. So NA would pick like Team Liquid. EU would say, all right, we want our best team to play Team Liquid, so they'd send out Fnatic.
Interesting.
Or if NA picked Echo Fox and they're like, all right, this is our 3rd place team, EU would say, all right, let's go play G2 against them so we have a higher chance of winning.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting event, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like fun. I like that format, actually.
It's much more, it feels like your region is winning, not your best team is winning against their best team. It's much more, this is NA versus EU, this is not TSM versus Fnatic. And I like that because we already have that represented at MSI and we already have that represented at Worlds. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see something more, like a little bit different than what we're used to.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's kind of reminiscent of like the new Overwatch playoffs. Like you get to pick your team, like whichever team you're playing with the top seed.
And yeah, let alone the beautiful trash talk that we'll probably see from winning and losing.
Awesome.
Excuse me.
Well, with other events in mind, we got MSI coming up. Just take us through all the news through that. We got a lot of information on that here recently. So,
well, we have the patch 8.8 dropped just recently, just last week. And with that came the return of LeBlanc, the old assassin that we know with the R copy spell and everything that auto deletes you about that. It's safe to say that the assassin rework was a failure by Riot. It's safe to say that this probably wasn't a bad idea to revert old assassins. Mm-hmm. LeBlanc was definitely one of the champions that I feel like watching her in competitive play, watching her in pro play, is very entertaining from a solo queue standpoint. She's not necessarily fun to play against, but watching a pro master her like Faker's LeBlanc or Bjergsen's LeBlanc, it's really fun to watch that.
Yeah. I
am excited. I think, honestly, if this mid lane change means anything, if the RE change means anything, maybe there is a small chance that Kingzone might be not necessarily unfavored. I'm not going to say that by any means, but somewhat disadvantaged because Kuro does not seem like, or not Kuro, BDD does not seem like the type of player meant to play assassins. He doesn't seem like he's that comfortable on it. So it will be interesting to see if teams start pulling out LeBlanc, if he ends up, falling short with his typical Sion or Galio or, tank mid lane picks.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll have to wait to see what happens. In fact, LeBlanc, might actually be disabled. Riot's very known for if they have a new champion or a reworked champion come out on a patch, they sometimes disable a champion for that patch since they're so new and since they're so untuned.
Yeah.
So we might not even get a C LeBlanc at MSI, but we will see closer to that date and when Riot kind of announces it. I do hope we get to see it. I do think it could be interesting seeing some of these pro players bring her out in the first event since she's been reworked, but I'm hesitant. There's also a couple other little changes in the patch, but it's nothing that seems too crazy or anything like that. A couple tank changes, couple AP changes, but I wouldn't be too concerned with it. We may get to see Graves also. He's my other kind of interesting champion. He's just been getting small buffs for like the past 4 patches, and I've kind of played him a little bit in solo queue, and he does feel pretty strong. But we'll get to see if any of the junglers get to play him. It does seem like most of the junglers at MSI, except for Peanut from LCK, are much more focused on a support tank style role. So we'll see.
For sure. Yeah, I always like watching a good Graves.
Yeah, no, it is.
Watching streams and stuff. I've seen a lot more of him in solo queue games and stuff like that. So
it's definitely entertaining. He's a fun champion to watch. Excuse me. All right. Next up on my list of real updates is basically the fact that the group draws did happen. This is going to be your straight up MSI news. The patch was when it's going to be play on, but now we're just into outright MSI. And the group draws went through, and we now have our groups for the entrance into the actual tournament, to the knockout stage. So we're going to be seeing Rainbow 7, Gambit Esports, Chaos Latin Gamers, and Ascension Gaming all playing in Group A. And we're going to see Kaboom Esports, Bao Supermassive, Dire Wolves, and Pentagram in Group B. Now, what this means is that, let me make sure I get this right. It is going to be the winner of Group A, whoever has the most best of 1 wins, gets to advance to play VCS or LMS, and the winner of Group B with the most round robin wins gets to go play the other in round 2. And then the winner of those 2 games, or those 4 teams, gets to move up into the actual knockout stage that will have, LCK, LPL, NA, and the EU.
Interesting.
So once this will be the wild card region that we're used to. Riot's not titling that, but this is basically what it is.
Yeah.
This is going to be the wild card of MSI that we'll get to see the random teams come through. If people remember like Gigabyte Marines and all that stuff, we might see some good surprises. Yep. I don't know anything about these teams really. They don't seem to be top tier by any means, but we might see some surprises. Remember, similar to when Alliance went kaboom back in, I think, season 4.
Yeah, that'd definitely be awesome to see. I don't remember which. It was do you remember the Ukrainian team that did really, really well at Worlds? I think it was like
Gambit?
Was it Gambit? Or it was a year or 2 ago. I don't remember. They did super well.
I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of their names.
Albus Nox Luna, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yep, that's who you're thinking of. No, I believe actually Dumbledoge, who was of Albus Nox Luna, is going again.
Really?
So we might actually get to see him. Yeah, I believe he is now the only player to go to every MSI. Because originally that title belonged to him and Faker, and with SKT's loss, Faker no longer holds that.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is very exciting.
Very cool. Very cool. Cool. Well, do we have any more info on MSI? That wrap it up.
Aside from that, we really just have the broadcast team, which was announced the other day also. And it's going to be most of the normal casters we're used to. We're going to see new faces in Raz. I think Medic is going to make his first appearance at the MSI tournament. I think he went to Worlds last year. Captain Flowers is going to an international event. But it looks like the pretty usual lineup. We're going to get to see Deficio, Quickshot, and Papa Smithy, the TriCast that everyone always loves. And you'll just see a lot of new updates with that. They're going to mix it up on air talent. It's always interesting to see casters combined. Jat is announced, and obviously Dash is announced. Mark Z is not going. I wonder if they will still do an analyst desk, or if they're just going to have Jat function as a color caster again.
Interesting.
We'll see. It could be really interesting to see a constant, Dash, Jat, Shocks, and then maybe Amazing desk. Actually, no, scratch that. Amazing isn't on the lineup. So I don't know. They might just do a constant analyst desk of Dash, Jat, Shocks, and maybe throw in one random caster every day. Yeah. But we'll see closer to the day how they plan on doing that.
Okay, that is interesting. Alrighty, man. That's a lot of news in a little bit of time.
Yep, that makes up for our league news.
Well, cool. We'll go ahead and transition over to Overwatch. Don't have a whole lot of news. We got one big old deal, and then we'll just kind of talk about what the teams have been going on. Been a crazy stage. Nothing has acted like the stage 1, stage 2. It was all about the Koreans, and now it's been all over the place. So we'll go ahead and grab right into it. First bit of news, we got the Dallas Fuel. Bless their little hearts, man.
Oh, they're trying. They're trying so hard.
I think they're trying to shoot themselves, honestly.
Maybe, but I don't know.
So, if you remember back to, I think it was week 1 or week 2, they played Seoul Dynasty, and they did really well. They lost, but they took it to the tiebreaker map, and it was honestly a pretty close match overall. And everyone thought, okay, maybe they're back. Maybe they're doing well. They had added Rascal in there, and he was doing very well. He came back in stage 2, but he was very subpar for the most part. It might have been stage 1. But he kind of found his footing. Everything was looking good. And then they let him go. So as of stage 3, week 3, stage 3, right before that week started, they let him go. And they also let go their head coach. Why they let their head coach go, I could not find a reason. It was just like, hey, we don't want to work with you anymore, basically. As far as Rascal, I've read around, and basically what I could find, he is Korean, and the only person he could really talk to on that team was Effect, who is also Korean. And so his communication wasn't there, and from what I could tell, he just kind of refused to communicate and try to work on things with the team. And so that's why they ended up letting him go. I'm really not sure how much of that's true and all that stuff. I just read articles here and there, and who knows what's verified and what side of the story is correct, But definitely, you just see a lot of disconnect within the Dallas Fuel. There's never that bond or teamwork that you would expect from a team that is of their caliber,
Right.
And if you look at a lot of the other teams, most of them are all good friends, and this team doesn't seem to be so much. They
just seem to be kind of players, and there's a lot of drama. I do know Dallas Fuel is rife with drama, so I mean,
oh man, they're all over the place. So, yeah, they're still having problems. They are, I want to say, 1-6. Let me double check myself real quick. Yep, or they were 1-5. Sorry, so they're 1-5 this stage. Overall, they are still 6-20. They're in 10th place, so they're down there with the Florida Mayhem, Shanghai Dragons, Shock, all that stuff. So they're still struggling on through stage 3. Fuel, I'm still waiting.
Are you still waiting? I don't know, man. That team has shown a serious lack of any sort of organization. It doesn't seem like they know what they're doing at all.
Yeah, it's from the top bottom. Honestly, it seems like their coaching staff is in disconnect. The players are in disconnect. The org owners just firing people, and it's just, I don't even know. From the outside, it just does not look good.
Who owns that org again? Who has the controlling stake? Isn't that Envious?
I think it's Envious. Yes,
I believe it's Envious. Man, Envious is not having a good year after getting kicked out of the LCS, and now Dallas Fuel continuing to be the dumpster fire that it is.
Yep, it's
not good.
Hastro, good old Hastro owns them, and they are struggling, man. But yeah, so that's basically wraps up the news on them. Not much to talk about. It's just they got rid of a player, got rid of their head coach for whatever reason, and they brought someone new in. I don't remember who it was. I think it was a old Korean coach. So we'll see how that goes. More communication issues.
I was going to say, if the whole reason was that they fired Rascal was communication issues, why would you immediately bring in a Korean coach for your now 5, NA roster?
Who knows?
What logic does that possibly make? Huh.
Fuel logic. That's what we'll call it. Hashtag fuel logic. Make it a
hashtag fuel logic. Starting it here.
Right here. But yeah, that's kind of wraps up the news there. Not much to talk about. Our prayers are with you, Dallas Fuel. Our prayers are with you. And we'll transition that over to one of the teams I've actually liked a lot since stage 1. They weren't my favorite team by any means, but I had a good feeling about them, and that's the Boston Uprising. And stage 1, they kind of started out real well, they struggled at first, and then they did really well at the end, and that was kind of their trend for stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 3, they are killing it right now. They're still yet to lose a match. They are currently 6-0. They have been putting the hurt on every single team, honestly. Let me see. They've beat the. Let's see. They beat the Philadelphia Fusion, which was really good. I mean, we've seen how Philly's been playing, and it's just been crazy. They beat Outlaws, who, I mean, we know they've had some issues here and there, but they're definitely not a bad team by any means. You know, they're still definitely a solid team. Week 2, they were able to beat the New York Excel 3-2, which is, I mean, that's the top dog right there. Once you've climbed that mountain, there's no going back. So they beat them, and they're also able to beat the Florida Mayhem. Who cares? And we also got them beating the London Spitfire. We'll talk about Spitfire later. Spitfire have been struggling very hard, but they beat the Spitfire easy peasy, and they also beat the Seoul Dynasty. So like all these top Korean teams are getting just beaten by the people that were in 8th through 6th place, stage 1 and 2, that we thought would never really have a chance to get these Korean teams. And I think what we're seeing a lot is the Korean teams have are stagnant and have stayed where they are, and you're seeing all these other teams just catching up to them and even getting better than them, and they haven't really adapted yet. I don't know if that has to do with the most recent patch, which was back in stage 2. Maybe they're just not adjusted to it, or they just can't find their footing. Who knows? But right now, the Boston Uprising are killing it. Now, there was the recent Sombra change, and now she has just been insane. Everyone uses Sombra almost every game now. She's just, her kit is way too good not to be used with that EMP.
Way too overloaded.
It's just, she's too good. She's the ultimate assassin. She has a translocator. She just puts it down by a health pack. She goes invisible, goes into the backline, and then she just destroys one of the squishies, usually a healer or like a small DPS player, and then she just translocates out. So it's very like cheesy strat in the sense, but I mean it works. And as soon as like
it works, yeah.
And you hack those health packs, you're constantly getting all that good stuff. Like you're denying the health packs to the other team. You can literally just go in the back line with your invis, go hack a health pack, and then translocate out. Like she's very annoying. She's very gimmicky.
And kit-wise, she sounds very similar to Kaisa, who is new in League of Legends. So.
She's very, very gimmicky, and then her ultimate is the EMP. It shuts down all shields, and so Reinhardt, Winston, like, they just become useless. You can't use any abilities, basically, is what it is. And so it's been insane watching some of these Sombra players really come out and just shine. Mistakes, who plays for the Boston Uprising, he's done really, really well on Sombra.
Wasn't he the one you were scared of that you thought wasn't going to do much of anything?
Indeed he was. And honestly, it's... almost like a stroke of luck for them. Genji, he's still in the meta for the dive comps, but Sombra's just so good you can always run a Sombra at this point. So
that's good.
He's able to be on the Sombra, and he's able to sit there. So usually what the Boston Uprising are running 90% of the time is a Sombra, Tracer, and then whatever tanks they want, and then a healer. Like it's usually that Sombra, Tracer. You got Striker, who honestly at this point, I think he's either the second or third best Tracer in the entire Overwatch League. Some people are saying he's the best. I'm going to still put that with Sabiobli. We've seen Sabiobli just be amazing, even though he hasn't been crazy good like he was stage 1, stage 2. But Striker has been on fire lately. There's one game I think he had... what was it? He was close to 100 elims for the entire series, which is just crazy. And 60 of them were final blows. So it just shows you, because Tracer, she's very annoying. She can poke you down, but it's pretty rare that she can get that full kill. I mean, she can, of course, but 61 final blows. That's 61 kills just the Tracer doing work. That is
pretty
insane. That's an insane stat, and that stat wise, right now he's the #1 Tracer in Overwatch League. So it's just in this instance, the stats don't lie, and it's shown in their gameplay, and right now they're #1 in all of the play or stage 3. So definitely cool to see them on top. And just to give you a quick look at what the standings are looking like right now, like I said, we've got the Boston Uprising up at #1. They are 6-0. We got Los Angeles Valiant, who we saw in stage 2 kind of starting to have a surge of life. They weren't that bottom tier meth team anymore. And they've been doing actually really, really well, pulling out some wins against the Dynasty and some the Spitfire, if I remember correctly. So that is awesome to see. #3 spot, you got the New York Excel. They're really not going anywhere, but at the same time, they've lost against the Uprising. So it's what are you doing? Stage 1, Stage 2, never would have said that they would have never even guessed they would be losing to the Boston Uprising, just because Boston Uprising wasn't that good, and the Excel have always been just dominant. And here's a shocker: the number 4 spot goes to the San Francisco Shock. Did you get it? Shocker, Shock. I'm great. I'm great.
You're very funny. You're very fun.
I had to bring that one up. So yeah, they got Sinatraa. He's been doing work on that tracer. They still have a little bit of disconnect. They're still putting all the pieces together. He just came here for stage 3, so it's a fairly new roster. They have a few other pickups like Moth, but for the most part, they're looking really solid. They had a tough time with the Shanghai Dragons, which is kind of scary to think about. But at the same time, I mean, they're in that number 4 spot. They're just cruising along. They've only got 2 more leagues left. Maybe they can get to the playoffs. And I honestly, looking at their schedule, let's see what their schedule is looking like real quick. Week 4, they play the Excel, which is going to be a hard one. They play the Spitfire, which is going to be a hard one. So we may see them fall. But right after that, they have the Florida Mayhem and the Outlaws. I think they can win against the Outlaws and definitely against the Mayhem. So they're definitely going to be in contention for that number 4 spot. I don't see them getting much farther than that number 4 spot, though. I don't think the Excel or anyone else is going to fall away from where they are. But what's something crazy is my next point, what happened to our previous top 4? Because if you look, we'll go look at the league standings. Right now, just overall for all of the stages, we've got New York Excel number 1. Boston Uprising was able to get up to number 2. Then we got London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, all that stuff that we're used to. But right now, London Spitfire are in, I want to say 6th or 7th place, if I remember correctly. Let me see. Standings.
I think you said they were 8th place with them being.
Was it that bad? Nope. Even worse. They're in 9th place. Oh.
9th. Excuse me.
Yeah. So Spitfire have fallen from grace. They are 2-4 right now. They have a -3 map differential, which is crazy from what it was the first 2 stages, which was, I think they had one of the best map differentials out there. Remember? And so
I remember that.
It's just they are in, I don't know what's going on with them. They're just losing games. And I don't think they've gotten any worse, honestly. They don't look like they're in disconnect. They look fine. They're just not as good as the other team that they're playing. And that's just what it comes down to, is it feels like the other team's able to pull out just a slight edge in all these fights, and they're able to get a pick here and there, and they're winning these 1v1 Tracer duels or these 1v1 Widow duels, and they're just able to, they're not able to capitalize on anything that they get in their favor, and so it's just always going in the way of the other team. Now, most of their games have been pretty close. I'm not going to write them off like they have just been getting dominated the entire time. It has been scary for them a few times, but for the most part, they're just getting beaten, just straight up. Not by any big differential. It's just they're getting edged out over and over and over again. And it's sad to see because, again, Spitfire were our number 2 guys. They were just right behind the Excel, just always, and now they're down there with the fuel are right behind them. Like, let that sink in.
That's never a good sign.
So, yeah. Another team that we've forget about and we miss are the Houston Outlaws. We saw in stage 2 that they started to kind of fall away, but right now they're really down in the dumps. They're 3-3. They have a just even map differential. They're 13-13 with 1 draw. And they're just kind of sitting there and chilling out. I really don't see them.
Where are our boys Philadelphia at?
Philadelphia is right above them. They're basically tied. So this is a very interesting dynamic, and we'll really see this come to play after this upcoming week. The 5th through 8th place, so 4 teams, are all 3-3.
Huh. So you have a 4-way tie right there.
So we have a 4-way tie, and on top of that, San Francisco Shock are only 1 game ahead, who are in that number 4 spot. And so I can definitely see the San Francisco Shock getting out of playoffs, like not making playoffs, because they're only 4-2. And all these other teams are 3-3. And San Francisco Shock, like we said, they do have a pretty tough schedule ahead of them. So if they can pull out a crazy win, they can definitely stay in that spot. But it's going to require a very, very good win over the Excel or the Dynasty. The Spitfire, which with how the Spitfire have been playing, who knows, you know? But yeah, LA Gladiators, Dynasty, Fusion, and Outlaws, they're all tied for that number 5 spot. The only thing that's setting them all apart is just the map differentials. We got Los Angeles Gladiators with the +3. They're 15-12. We got the Dynasty +1, 13-12 with 1 draw. Philly Fusion, they're a 0 map differential. They're 14-14. Then Outlaws, like I said earlier, 13-13 with 1 draw. And so they're all neck and neck right there. And really, it just depends. Like this week, upcoming week is a very, very important week for all of these teams. Honestly, every single team other than the Boston Uprising have something to worry about, because 2 losses and you're all of a sudden not in playoffs.
Yeah, you're all
as simple as that. And there's only 2 weeks left, so you have a max of 4 games to make up, like 2 more games to make that up. So right now we're in a very interesting spot in Overwatch League, and we've never actually had this before because of Stage 1, Stage 2. We exactly, like halfway through, we knew exactly who we were going to be in those playoffs. Maybe we kind of debated that number 3 spot, but right now it's completely up for grabs.
It's neck and neck, yeah.
And that's one of the best things to see. Like we've always said, parity in a league is amazing, and I'm super excited to see who makes playoffs, because right now I can't tell you who I think could, because literally any of these teams could. The 1st through 7th place teams could all make playoffs, or 8th place actually.
I mean, even through 9th, we just saw London Spitfire, the original Stage 1 winners, are now in 9th place. It wouldn't be impossible for them to make a resurgence, would it? So, would they have to have a flawless stage, or are they knocked out for good? Because there's only 4 more matches left, right?
There's only 4 more matches left. They would have to. I don't even know if it's possible, honestly.
I don't think it is, actually. You're right. No, never mind. Well, all the way up to 8th or 6th place, 7th place can make it still. So.
Yeah, I don't know. They'd have to win every single game. They'd have to have a perfect score, so they'd have to be 4-0 every single game, and hope that all these other teams are losing that are above them. But even then, like the Fuel and Mayhem would have to pull out some wins to be able to make this happen for them. So Spitfire.
Spitfire is probably out.
Goodbye.
But it's not possible.
But yeah, the Gladiators, Dynasty, Fusion, Outlaws, all of that, the Shock, they're all in that contention for playoffs. Right now we got, like I said, the Shock, Excelsior, Valiant, Uprising right now in our playoff spots, but honestly, any of that can change. And who knows, like where we're at, if Boston Uprising all of a sudden just shit the bed and can't get another win, they wouldn't be in playoffs anymore. Like, it's that close that literally all these spots are just up for grabs, which is just amazing.
It is so insane.
I highly doubt the Boston Uprising don't make playoffs just with how they've been playing. And again, they're 6-0, so it's highly unlikely. But man, oh man, it has been a fun stage to watch so far. And very excited to see how playoffs turn out and who's going to be in them. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for all that I've got. We can kind of look at next week, but again, it's all about just everyone. Like there's no key matches this week because every single match is a key match, other than maybe the Dallas Fuel and Mayhem. Like, who cares about them at this point? Every single match this week, every team needs to get that win, and there's really nothing else to say about it. So, but I'm excited about it. I'm very, very excited. I don't even know who to root for, honestly. I really don't.
Well, let's stay on the Boston Uprising train. They seem to be having a very good stage so far. They seem to be the comeback story. You know, everyone thought they were going to fall apart with that, or with their player being suspended, but they're still holding out. They definitely seem to know what they're doing, at least. They didn't fall flat on their face after finding some adversity, so that always is a good sign for a team.
For sure. All right, give me your predictions. I know you're not super, follow this very closely, but give me your predictions. Yeah. Who do you think's going to get first, second, and third in stage 3?
First, second, and third after playoffs.
Yes.
After playoffs. Okay. Honestly, my bet is that we're going to see Excel, Uprising, Valiant. That's my guess.
Okay. That's not a bad guess.
I think Excel takes it. They have more experience in the playoff stages, even though Overwatch is more similar. Like, their normal regular season is similar to their playoff stage, with, you know, the only difference being one extra round. I still think that Excel will take it over pressure-wise, and they'll just be able to take over the game. They'll beat the LA Valiant, and then they'll end up beating Uprising.
I can appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to be a little ballsy with my prediction. I'm going to say the Boston Uprising stick it out. They're going to get first. MSA, who gets second, I'm gonna go with the LA Gladiators, honestly.
Ooh, the LA Gladiators, not the Valiant.
I think yeah. So I think the LA Gladiators. They just got beat by the Valiant last week, but it was 3-2, very close match. And again, all these teams are in the running for this. Like, there's no line yet at all. So I think the LA Gladiators are gonna come out. They're gonna get second. I think they're gonna beat the Excel, and the Excel are gonna get third. But I think again, like you said, the pressure of playoffs is going to get to both the Boston Uprising and both the Gladiators, but at the same time, we're going to see them there. I think the Boston Uprising are going to edge it out. So that's my crazy. I was leaning towards the Shock, but I just don't see how the Shock.
You don't think they'll hold their position?
I honestly, after I saw their schedule, I don't see it. Honestly, they play the Excel, and then they play the Spitfire. Like, all within this upcoming week. Those are the two. There you go. Those are the two matches to look for. The San Francisco Shock, seeing how they do against these Korean teams. If they can get a win on either of those teams, honestly, I'll feel a lot better about it. But
until then, we don't know. Okay.
I just don't see it.
I feel like that's a logical thing to say as an analyst.
Now, I will say, I'm looking forward to them in Stage 4. I think they'll put something really good together in Stage 4, and they'll have a very good playoff run. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that's going to do it.
Sounds like a very realistic prediction. I'm excited to see how the end of the Overwatch stage goes.
Me too, man. I'm ready for the final playoffs and all that good, fun stuff. I'm ready for this to wrap up just to see how it all ends, you know? I almost want to skip over there, but oh well.
Just go straight to the end of Season 1. Just some Back to the Future almanac of sports. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Perfect. Well, that's going to wrap up everything I have. Trent, you got anything else to say before we get out of here?
That's all for me.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you watching as always. You can follow Trent here at Avius Gaming at Twitter. Mine is at BrennanH_. Don't let the thing above my big head fool you. There's an underscore at the end. I will change it once I'm verified. That is our running joke.
The running joke.
And hopefully it doesn't run forever, but who knows?
Hopefully.
But again, we appreciate you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe to us if you appreciate it. Give us a comment, let us know what you think about it. We always love feedback, positivity, negativity, whatever. We'll take it, just as long as we know that you have an opinion.
As long as we know that you have an opinion, that we're getting some sort of constructive feedback. That's what we look for here on the Recall. We want to make sure we're providing some good quality content for all our viewers.
For sure. Well, guys, again, we appreciate it. Take care, and this has been Recall. Bye.